Last night I was sat in the pub with my aunt and uncle enjoying a couple of beers, and Jamie rudely interrupted that with a quite distressed message, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought we might have to call today off, as yesterday all the camera gear for the shop was stolen. I won't go into too much depth about how it was stolen. There wasn't really much we could do, but obviously, yeah, it feels a bit grim, to be honest. You know, we've taken many years to accumulate some good equipment for the shop to provide all of you with some nice videos. Yeah. You know, I love my photography and, you know, making these videos and content for everyone. So yeah, it feels pretty sad. But, you know, as they say, when life serves you lemons,
lemonade?
Nope, make some mediocre saxophone videos for our community.
Yeah, well, we can continue to do so. I mean, we're on your phone at the moment. It is a new phone, so it should be pretty decent. There's a bit of a wobble going on, but I think that's my big feet getting in the way. But yeah, I think we should probably start this video with a couple of name suggestions for the channel, right?
Let's have a look. Let's see what you submitted.
Okay, let's go. So, Behind the Sax, Sax Shop Talk. George and his luscious locks.
Ah, there we go.
Those sax guys, I like that.
Those sax guys, yeah, it's like the slow-mo guys. Have you seen that YouTube channel?
Potentially. Is that where they squash things?
They just, in slow motion, yeah.
Slow-mo. Sax in the City.
That's good, very appropriate. We're in a city, we're playing sax.
Relaxy Saxy.
Relaxy Saxy.
That's good.
Oh, very nice. Very smooth jazz.
Yeah.
You know, radio vibes.
Right then, who's that?
Oh, look, it's my wife, Lula Seralini. Name suggestion, Behind the Sax. Thank you, Lou.
Have we not just had that?
We have just had that. That's two. Wow. Maybe she copied someone else's idea.
Yeah, not very creative.
Be more original, Lou.
Saxing around.
Saxing around.
Could be decent. Still saxy?
Yeah,
you're not. No,
I've maybe got 6 months left. I'm getting a bit old now.
Sexual Factual.
Sexual Factual.
Save the Sax.
Save the Sax.
Two Blokes, Many Horns. That's funny.
That's our weekend act name, isn't it?
I don't know what you think you're getting up to the weekend. Right, I mean, there's a few good suggestions there.
What we'll do is we'll shortlist maybe our favourites and I'll put it out on a poll.
Yeah, top five.
Top five, and then you guys can choose it.
So Jamie, you've obviously just got back from the NAMM show. How was it?
I have just got back from the NAMM show. Fantastic. It's such a good opportunity to meet up with everyone that we know in the industry. As you can imagine, I mean, I've been working here now about 18 years. Jim about
showing your age.
Yeah, exactly. Jim about 22 years. So we've met so many friends and made so many relationships along the way. So it's just the best opportunity to see everyone and meet new people as well. We met the guys from Jean Paul for the first time, a fantastic company based in Miami. I mean, I'm sure you're all well aware of their saxophones. They're incredible quality for the money, but such a good team. And make sure you check out those instruments if you're not aware of them. Sorry, in terms of players, we saw Gerald Albright. We saw Kirk Whalem, beatbox sax Derek Brown, and loads of other incredible players. So not only is it a great chance for us to catch up with all these business relations, but to see these like amazing musicians. You just walk around like with your jaw to the floor sometimes. It's you watch these caliber of players. Like obviously both of us are a big fan of Gerald Albright, who follows us on Instagram, by the way.
Good.
And you should as well. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. And a guy like him with his technical abilities, it's just unbelievable to watch. So that was fantastic. And then actually one other mention, Jay Metcalf. We spent a bit of time with Jay as well, and I feel like I should apologise to Jay because in our walk around we didn't highlight any of his new products, but he does have some really cool things coming soon. So watch this space, and we'll reveal everything as soon as they're released.
This video, we're going to actually be highlighting some of the lost and forgotten products and or saxophones that we have in the store.
Yeah, some of these products just don't really get the attention they deserve. Often we're playing instruments that we almost forget about. They gather dust and the cobwebs start building up. They don't, because we clean everything. But and they're actually really great instruments. And I think a lot of the time, if I'm brutally honest, I think the companies just aren't that great at their marketing, but they build really good instruments or mouthpieces or accessories, whatever it might be. So we're going to take the opportunity to sort of head around the shop, find these instruments, and just see how good they are. Yeah,
let's maybe compare them to some of the more popular saxophones as well.
We can do that as well, just see how they stack up.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. Okay, follow me down here. We're going to check out some accessories and products that may be lost in the shop or forgotten. One of them is actually my favourite. It is the Deflector. Some of you may be familiar with this product. Let me just take it off the shelf. There we are. There we go. So we've actually put one together over here. Oh, there's another box. Right, okay. As you can see, this clips on to the bell of the saxophone. One of my students was actually bought this for his birthday quite recently, and he thought its purpose was to actually act as a mute and prevent the sound coming out of the saxophone. But a lot of people do know that the sound escapes everywhere on the sax through all the tone holes. Its actual purpose is to deflect the sound back to you, funnily enough, hence its name. So the traditional method of doing so would be playing up against a wall without the deflector, so you can actually hear your own sound. I mean, you can even hear your own voice more clearly if you're doing such a thing. But this is obviously a great gizmo to do that without having to stand at a random wall like a strange person. You could also use these on gigs. I've actually seen a few saxophone players do so. It's more like a monitoring system. Say if you don't have in-ears, you can really get some good feedback from what your sound is actually like. And there's also a little hole there, which is obviously you can put an SM58 or 57 in there if it is a live performance. So yeah, definitely check these out. They're good value for money as well, and it's a really good product. Mouthpieces, we've got hundreds of them, and the most popular ones are always bought and restocked, and the cycle repeats itself. But there are a few that are forgotten and probably been here a while, right? So these would be mouthpieces such as the SR-Tech. We've got the Alto Legend, the Alto Titan, and down here, Jamie, if you can pan down, we've got the Pro, which is a metal mouthpiece. So yeah, they're not actually that popular, and they were one of our favourites, which we tested and tried and put on the website for you guys to listen to. So let's get them out and see how they sound again. So the two mouthpieces that you just heard was my Mayer and the SR-Tech Legend, which is in this super cool finish. The reason why we've highlighted this one to you today is because when we were doing our mouthpiece recordings, for every single mouthpiece that we have in store, so you can hear what it sounds like on our website, we were so impressed with these that they had to get a mention. They have such a great sound, they look cool. Yes, they are slightly more expensive because they're in that boutique range of mouthpieces, but they are excellent, and yeah, they just sound great. Don't you think?
Absolutely. The SR-Tech Pro metal mouthpiece is actually a piece that Jim used for years and years and years and absolutely loved it. Right, He's gone back to his trusted Mayer now because I think he wanted something a little warmer because being a metal mouthpiece, the Pro is quite bright. Yeah. But they're just such a fantastic range, and as we say, one that often gets lost and forgotten about. Yeah. And only really brought to our attention again, as you said, when we did our recordings. And every time we picked one up, we thought, wow, that sounds fantastic. Yeah. So I would say that if you're looking for a boutique mouthpiece that they're not cheap, definitely put this on your shopping list. Yeah.
Here I am in front of the intermediate and beginner saxophones. What we've got here is the Buffet 100 series alto sax. Buffet synonymous with their clarinets, that's what they're most famous for, but they do happen to make brilliant alto saxophones and tenors as well. Also, we've got the Jupiter 1100 in this awesome finish. I don't exactly know the colour code, but it is very cool. So let's give them a test, maybe up against a more popular saxophone, which you folks usually would buy. So there's no denying that the two instruments are quite different, especially for me to play. I found that with the Buffet, there's a sweeter, sort of darker sound to it, a little bit more mellow, I think would be a good word to describe. And the Yamaha is its traditional brittle sort of sound. Great for tuning, intonation-wise, very easy to play, but it is quite one-dimensional. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said. Listening from this side, the Yamaha just sounds a bit harsher in the higher frequencies, whereas the Buffet just seems to round them off a little more.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that the Yamaha is our top-selling saxophone out of everything in the shop, and it's mainly because it gets recommended so highly from teachers because it's reliable, dependable, probably the easiest saxophone to learn on, right? Which is great for when you're starting out. However, if you want something with a little bit more character, something a bit different, something that, I mean, in our opinion, sounds nicer, then the Buffet's a really good option, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So there we just had the Yamaha 480 versus the Jupiter 1100. Very similar in price, but to me, quite different in the way they play and sound. The Yamaha felt like it's quite restricted and not in a good way. It's not the resistance that you might find from a Selmer. It feels like it's quite one-dimensional as well. It is quite commonly the case with intermediate and beginner Yamaha saxophones. When you start spending more money on them, they start to free up a little bit. With this instrument, the Jupiter, to me, under the fingers, it actually felt more seamless than the Yamaha for some reason. And sound-wise, it just was a little bit more boisterous, a bit bigger, and a bit more flexible. You could probably find yourself playing some different genres with more success on this instrument. What do you reckon?
Yeah, again, I totally agree with you. I could just hear the power and the oomph behind the Jupiter. It just had a lot more, didn't it? Again, it's been an interesting experiment for us, hasn't it? Because you can imagine in the shop as well, people tend to recommend the Yamaha so highly, and it still has its place. It's a great instrument. It's so user-friendly in general, isn't it? But it's very interesting to put saxophones like this that don't get talked about very often up against these really common models, and we're finding quite often that these other models are beating the Yamahas in many areas, aren't we?
Yeah, there's a lot of brand favoritism, to the big names, but you shouldn't forget about these companies that make these saxophones like this, because as we've just shown you, they really do stand up against some of the bigger names.
And that finish, look at that finish. Do you want to show the camera? This is a new finish. I don't even know what they call it, but it's a really nice satin black finish. They are also available in gold lacquer as well, if you're not feeling so adventurous. But all in all, really great saxophones, the Jupiter and the Buffet, right?
Sounds good. Tenors. We love tenors, especially the P.Mauriat Master 97. It is actually the top of the range Mauriat, isn't it, Jamie?
It is, and it often gets forgotten about. The 66 and the 76 P.Mauriat tend to be the most popular, but we were testing this a few weeks ago, weren't we, against those models, and it was absolutely fantastic. So it's something that should really be on people's lists if they're trying out professional tenors, and especially the P.Mauriats. Yeah,
let's give it a go, either against one of the Mauriats or another popular saxophone we got in the shop. Let me get this right, the model number. So this is the PMXT66RGL, which I finished with, compared against the Master 97.
Yeah, Master
correct?
97.
Yeah. So how it feels to play, very similar actually, but the sound we thought was really quite different. We found that this one here was a little bit more woolly, was a word that Jamie used to describe it, which was great actually, because I know exactly what that means. It seems, it might lend itself more to playing some jazz, more laid back style of music. Whereas the other one, the first one we played, that was a little bit more contemporary sounding. It wasn't wild and like a pop sax, but it definitely had a bit of a higher overtones to it, and it sounded a bit brighter, but not crazy.
No, a bit more vibrant. I can imagine the Master
yeah.
97 would be good for recording with, wouldn't it? Maybe it was a bit more of a balanced sound.
Yeah.
Whereas the 66R is a big, boomy, kind of American-inspired tone. But again, it's just worth people trying out the Master 97 when they try this type of saxophone, these vintage-inspired instruments, because often they don't. Often they come in, they say, "Yeah, I want to try the 66R, the 76," and they don't really talk about the Master 97.
Yeah.
But we've found it to be one of the best saxophones in their range, if not the best, if that's the sort of sound you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I was down with Jim not so long ago trying these out, and again we just found that they were exceptional instruments, and we were just surprised that people don't really tend to talk about it. Maybe it's because it doesn't come in the vintage finish that the other Mauriats come in, and that's what people want, but it's just well worth considering if you're looking for one of these.
Yeah, you should come down, check them out, they're great.